Good morning, everybody. Shout it out, man. We locked in. Dowtone. Shout it out to everybody out there. Rafael Ortega, everybody that's in the chat. I hope everybody out there is doing swell. Hope y'all taking it easy out there, enjoying the weather. I wanna pull everybody up. This is obviously we're at a moment where these issues need to be addressed in real time. So we don't want to we don't want to waste any time. We want to address them. We want to be adamant. We want to be firm. We don't want to play with these issues. These are some very serious issues here. So as you guys are aware, the work that I'm involved in is pertaining to the youth. And in one capacity, on my professional role, I'm being the assistant director of overseeing 4 programs in Brooklyn. There's a lot of stuff going on in each of the communities that I oversee. There's a lot going on. Give me 1 second, you guys. There's a lot going on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so please forgive me, you guys, in terms of the work that I'm involved in, whether in my professional role or just in general. The youth are going through a lot right now. New York City is on fire right now. Just the other day, man, working in Brownsville, 4 individuals, were shot on Livonia and Rockaway, young individuals. And then, yesterday morning, 3 individuals were shot in broad daylight in the morning at 11:30 in the morning, over by Southern Rutland Road. So there's really a lot happening right now. There's a lot going on. We know that in East Harlem, the other day, a 14-year-old was murdered. And shout it out to Blow Dollars Network. I saw he put it up on his channel. I was waiting for him to basically, speak upon it, but then I saw it was taken down. So I'm glad that he was, highlighting this issue as well. Apparently there was some drive-by type shooting where a car pulled up and shot a 14-year-old in the head. Another 15-year-old was shot. Thankfully, a passerby in their vehicle saw the 15-year-old and kind of brought him into his car. Hopefully that saved his life. Who knows? But there is a lot of other incidences taking place, not only around Brooklyn, but around New York City itself. And not only in New York City, but the state of New York, and not only in the state of New York, but in the country itself. So, again, shout it out to Smitty for wanting to speak about this issue. But, as a community, we have to speak about these issues together. So I want us to kind of like focus on these issues. So when we're talking about these issues, we could talk about the problems all day, but let's talk about, some viable solutions as to how we intend on addressing many of these issues, right? What do we intend on doing, and how do we intend on doing it? Because it's happening in real time. People are losing their kids, and not only are we losing our kids to senseless gun violence, but we're losing our kids, and even people who we do know who are losing their kids to the penitentiary. When you get convicted for a homicide, you're going to be going for 25 years at a minimum. And that's depending if you go to trial. If you plead guilty, that's a whole different type of fight for you. But I know a lot of individuals, unfortunately, who are spending the rest of their lives in prison because they made one horrible choice. But we have to fight back. We have to come together to try to figure out what is it that we're going to do to help save a lot of these babies. I was out there in Uniondale, New York, the other day in Long Island, and I was speaking to the youth, and that's later on in that evening, a young 21-year-old was shot and killed. So I'm in that neighborhood speaking to the youth, but again, that later on, that individual or one of those individuals would themselves get killed. Now that individual was not in the group that I was talking to, for the record, but he just unfortunately lost his life that night. And from what I'm hearing, um, it happened to be, from my sources who are on the ground out there, like saying that it was a retaliation from some other gang related activity that took place. Now, mind you, this is already information that the authorities themselves have, and they're trying to piece everything together. And we know that when stuff like this happens, we know that the first thing that's happened is that they're trying to piece together an investigation. They're investigating witnesses. They're doing this. They're doing that. But the streets talk very quickly, so it's like this is the information that's out there. Long Island itself is highly gang population is at probably at an all-time high. It's never been like that before. All different banners are out there, individuals from all different walks of life. It's very territorial, depending on what side of Long Island you're on, could be the reason why you're losing your life. It's very different now. It's a different landscape. So some of my people out there who are on the ground, they've been calling me out there every now and then, and I go out there to speak to the youth. Some of the youth out there, I've even taken them out to dinner to try to help figure out where they're at in terms of, mentally, what is it that they're struggling with, to try to get into their heads to figure out how we can try to help them. One of the individuals who I was speaking with, who I took out to dinner, unfortunately, he just got 1 year in prison. So I mean, he just got sentenced to 1 year. I don't want to say that the strange thing is that I don't want to say like I'm kind of like, I don't want to say I'm happy that he's in prison. I don't want to say that, but I am happy that perhaps for the next year, and Allah knows best, maybe his life will be spared from the senselessness that's going on out there in the streets. Because listening to him talk, he's like, listen, Mr. Moshe, big bro, like I understand what you're saying, but like my generation we're going through a war. We out here, we fighting, and this is what we're going through. Like in your area, y'all was fighting y'all battles, and y'all had to fight, but y'all had to fight y'all fight. But this is our fight, and we gotta survive our fight. And he was right. He asked me, what would you do if you were me? How would you tell me to leave the gang that I swore my allegiance to, when many of my comrades and my brothers have lost their lives for what we're out here in the streets saying we love? And I had to be honest with him. I understand that. Just so you know, this is the big bro right here, my brother, pulling up. Shout it out, my brother.
Shout out, King. Salute, babe. What up, man? How you doing today?
Yo, man, I'm doing well, man. I love you, my brother. It's always a pleasure, man. I'm just sitting up here talking to the people right now. You said something to me earlier, man, about everything that we're speaking about in terms of the youth, and you mentioned how everything that's taking place out here in these streets, whether directly or indirectly, is a result of the lifestyle that the Damu lifestyle.
Yes, that's correct, bro.
Why do you say
Basically,
that?
all right. I say that basically, man, because for one, and I'm gonna talk about this on my platform later on too, because
Please pull me up too, please.
absolutely. For one, that's one of the reasons why I didn't make a big, happy birthday, and I didn't do, all that other stuff this year, because after doing this work, what I'm saying, certain realities and certain information that you come in contact with and everything, it just don't sit right with you. Like OG Mac, or none of us knew that this blood shit was going to grow the way it grew. We just thought that, what I'm saying, we was looking out for the peoples. There's a lot of BS going on, and we stood firm against that. And as a result of that, we inspired thousands and tens of thousands of people, what I'm saying, on the East Coast, right? But now, when you look on the East Coast, and when you look at the thing that's going on in New York City, when we look at the situation that's going on in New York City,
Look like we briefly lost. Look like we briefly lost Mel for a moment for due to some technical issues. But I'm sure when he comes back on, he's gonna pick right back off up where he left off at. And I'm thinking, that he was probably gonna segue into what was the cause of many of our decisions. When what we
You know
were
what I'm
doing
saying? Like,
back in the days. Oh, there he is. Yeah, you were speaking about went off, my brother. You went off at the point where you was talking about when we were incarcerated, and then we
yeah,
didn't
like,
expect it would get this big.
yeah, we never thought it was gonna get this big and everything, right? So we got to look at the things that happen moving along as to why New York City is the way it is right now, or shit the way it is right now. You got a lot of hybrid gangs that form because of the gang activity, right? And what I mean by that is this: you have some kids that might not be high risk, that might not be, recognized in a known gang, you know what I'm saying, or whatever happened. They could just be from the same block or from the same neighborhood around the corner from each other, and there's a lot of gang activity going on. And because these gang members is targeting just anybody, you know what I'm saying? See, when we was coming up with this gang shit, you know what I'm saying, you was deemed a coward if you banged against the neutral. You know what I'm saying? You was a coward because you got a gang behind you. You got your peoples and everything behind you. So you banging against neutrals and people that never your life. You know what I'm saying? Like you taking advantage of the weak, or you taking advantage of those that we supposed to be protecting, right?
Yes.
So now what they do is they start finding ways to protect themselves. So it might be people they grew up on the block with, right? They'll form up and stick together. Something happened to one, it got to happen to all. But they're labeled as a gang now because of their activity and because of their stance, when they're actually really not. It's just that they're protecting themselves from the gangs around them. You know what I mean? A lot of people want to carry guns and everything, not because they're shooters or they're killers, but because they want to be on the same playing field as those with the guns and everything. Look at everything that's going on. Is these gang members the ones that's running around punching these fucking little girls in their face and everything, doing stuff to them, talking about, oh, she said they smoking on such and such dad. You know what I mean? Like the morals and ethics and everything is totally different, because when we was coming up, remember Tupac told the outlaws, if I die today tomorrow, man, I want to get cremated, and y'all niggas put my asses in a blunt and y'all smoke and go up with me so I can be with y'all and all that. Now it's taken as or used as a term of disrespect. And a lot of people feel like, well, I can't come back. Once this person say this, there's no coming back, and da 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 da. But that's not realistic, because when you look at history, and let's look at historical events that took place. Let's look about every black person, that came over here against their will, to now how many interracial marriages we see, how many interracial, how many kids we see with black and white parents and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about we was getting lynched. You know what I'm saying? Our families was getting murdered. Our woman was getting raped and everything. So, and then you worrying about somebody ashes and everything. You got white kids in Buffalo going up in stores that's targeting ethnicities. You know what I'm saying? You got the KKK that been targeting ethnicities. You got Aryan Nation that been targeting us and everything like that. And these motherfuckers is not getting RICO. These motherfuckers is not they not shit. Even in the Buffalo situation, the dude originally got arrested and charged with only with one attempt murder, right? Or
Yes.
one murder. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that is crazy, man. Because if that was us or something like that, man, they would have killed us. We would never even made it in the prison system. So I'm not really happy at the climate of where New York and what this gang thing is now, man. And I'm just trying to put some perspective on it, trying to help and save these children, man, from being manipulated by these people and everything like that. You know what I mean? I'm over here supposed to be working out and everything, but I
Yo,
took the time out for you.
yo,
What's up,
yo,
bro?
yo, hold on, Mel. This big bro Nuke right here.
All right.
Yo, pardon me, Mel. So I mean, that was Nuke right there. He's driving right now. He wanted to know how he could, get on while still be driving and everything like that. On Big Bro, he said that there was an accident on the highway, so he's driving, but he don't want to, cause any more confusion on the road. But I told him, I said he can still pull up. All he gotta do is just hit the link, and we'll bring him in the studio. So let me just ask you this question, my brother, in terms of like the question of is youth gang violence on the rise from the work that you do in the you in the South Bronx. We know you in the South Bronx. Your feet are on the ground. What is it looking like for you, not only in the Bronx but overall? What are your sources telling you in terms of the level of youth gang violence? Is it on the rise, or is it just something that the media is pushing out there? What's your perspective, my brother?
I think now it is little situations going on. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. And it is on the rise because it's a lot of certain things is like one thing about what this damn move thing what it did too, right? This blood shit what it did too. It allowed people from different boroughs to hang out on blocks in different boroughs that they're not from, that they usually wouldn't be at. You know what I'm saying? So you got people, you know what I'm saying, we going out in different directions. But I said the reason why I introduced that is because the simple fact, I had to talk to a couple of youths in the Bronx to stop them from going out to Brooklyn and bang at a couple of people because of of what's being said in the music and everything. So now it's not even just, a lot of things that goes on in Harlem could trigger in the Bronx. Something that goes on in the Bronx could trigger off in Brooklyn. Like that's how closely knit things is now with the gang thing. And like I said, I'm saying, if you 5'9", wherever 5'9" is at, you will be able to go link up, I'm saying, or whatever the case. So, it is on the rise. It is on the rise. Due to the fact also is that, man, there's nothing that, there's nothing. Like if you look at the Bronx right now, right, everywhere you look it's construction, all type of stuff going up, right? In the places that where this stuff is going up at, man, these are they parks and everything like that. Like we already know, I'm originally from Hunts Point, right? But most of my life I've been on 183rd, right? So that's Fordham Heights section, right? My neighborhood is from 196 to Burnside, from Webster to Jerome Avenue, right? That's a lot of fucking blocks right there, right? And guess what? It's like maybe 3 parks in that whole neighborhood. One is Slaughtery, and there's a team over there that call themselves Slaughtery because if you cross this side of the concourse, can't go on that side of the concourse. Everybody beefing, and and so forth and so on. You know what I'm saying? So so with this gang thing opening up where everybody can just go to everybody's borough and hang out and stuff like that and whatever, it makes it more tricky and more dangerous because people could get more conniving, what I'm saying, and use that to their advantage. You know what I mean? And like I said, I had to stop a couple of little youngins from the Bronx from going out to Brooklyn to do something because at one time Bronx and Brooklyn drill was going at it, and a couple of Brooklyn drill rappers like that, they can't come out there and whatever. So being that they said they couldn't come out there, they was trying to come out there and do something. You know what I'm saying? So there's things like that that's going on, man, with the social media and stuff, man.
So what role? I mean, being that you admit that individuals from our era inadvertently contributed, even directly or indirectly contributed to much of the senseless gang violence, the youth gang violence that's taking place today. What are some of the things that individuals like ourselves can do to try to ameliorate or make better the conditions of that are in our communities right now? Because as you and I both know, Mel, you're on the ground, I'm on the ground, right? It's a lot going on, bro. Like, and to some extent, we're talking to the youth, but sometimes it doesn't give the impression that these individuals are even paying attention to us. So what do you think that individuals in our shoes, with our experience, can do?
Well, one thing I could say that I'm very fortunate enough to, that even though I'm not working in my community, I'm respected enough throughout my borough and where, what I'm saying, my word is accepted, and what I'm saying, and the work that I do is appreciated. You know what I mean? with that being said, man, what everybody need to do is remember what we signed up for. And this is something that we signed up for. It's one thing about reading about Huey P. Newton and them having rallies and doing other thing and giving out free breakfast. Is another thing being on ground and walking that walk. You know what I'm saying? So what my news is this, right? Everybody got to be proactive, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, when we was growing up, the village raised us, the neighborhood raised us. It wasn't just my mother, my parents. It was everybody. Everybody raised us. You know what I'm saying? So we got to bring back the neighbor. We got to put neighbor back into the hood. We got to make that sound good, sound prolific, make that shit, you know, slick, make that, you know what I'm saying? We gotta find resources for them and provide it to them. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of certain organizations, man, that, you know, it starts off for the people and everything like that, and then the people that need it most be, you know, left behind or left without. You know what I mean? So we definitely have to be proactive. And when you're dealing with this work, man, we have to deal with credible messengers. We have to deal with individuals that people going to respect, people that they look up to. So when they say something, everything is held in high regard. You know what I'm saying? But we cannot give up on our children. We cannot give up on ourselves. We cannot give up on our community. And we cannot continue to embrace this as the new norms. We got to stop embracing it. You know what I'm saying? All these new norms, we got to stop embracing that, man, because we have kids as young as 12 years old, 11 years old out here shooting people and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Then we have a justice system where you're going to watch this 9-year-old turn into 11 and 12-year-old, you know what I'm saying, while investigating them just so you can charge him as an adult. So you're failing them because you're saying that he deserves to be in prison, or the only result when he's in prison. So we got to stop having waiting for other people to come and help our family, come and help us and do things. And we got to do things for ourselves, man. We got to stop waiting for this invisible ghost and all that. And we just got to get proactive, man, because this shit is good. Some people are just cool or too tough to be doing shit like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree, Mel. So I asked that question because obviously I already have my reason for feeling the way that I feel and why I feel like I need to be where I'm at. And I know you have your reason for feeling why you do the work and you are where you are. Because the reality is that, I mean, we at some point, we looked, when we read the history books, we read all of the stuff. We had an opportunity to look at it, and we saw the Martin Luther Kings. We saw the Jeff Forts, and we saw the Larry Hoovers and whoever. We saw the Malcolm X's, the Huey P. Newtons, the George Jacksons, and things of this nature, right? We saw these people, right? But we read about their lives. We read about the work and the sacrifices that they were involved in, things that they were willing to give, right, for their beliefs. What are we in our generation? What are we doing about some of the socioeconomic, the systemic issues that exist in our very lives? Like, who's going to tell our story, and what will they say about us? How will we have given our time and our energy to these issues that seem to be problematic and challenging for us? It's to the point where kids are afraid to go outside. Kids are afraid to go to school. Like, we don't even have and live in communities anymore where there is peace. So if we're living in war zones that are brought on by our own doing, what is it that we're trying to do to kind of help make these conditions better? You dig what I'm saying? So I do believe in what you're saying, that we are responsible. We are responsible of coming together and standing on the front lines to say, listen, we have to fight back against what's going on in our communities. Even if our youth seem to be as if they're out of control, like for whatever reason, they're not listening to us. I mean, anybody can claim that the youth are not listening. Anybody can say that these individuals don't want to hear, from these older individuals. Anybody can make that claim. Shout out to Jay Renee. Shout out to Thomas Free Me TV and podcast show. Everybody that's tuned in to We Locked In. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my comrade and brother, Mel Crossman. This is my brother right here from way back. We met when we were kids while we were incarcerated. We developed a solid relationship because We were both a part of the Damu movement at that time. KK's pulling up right now. And salam alaikum, my brother. How you doing, brother?
What's good, bro? Cross, what's happening, homie? How you
No,
feeling?
no, man. What's good, man? I like that conversation we had last week too, kid.
So I think that it's important. I think that it's important that we have these relationships with the youth, that we go out there and we try to, like, for instance, I'm in Brownsville right now. And sometimes when we're doing community outreach, people don't want to go in the most uncomfortable areas in Brownsville because this is the area where the youth are at, where they are on a different type of time, where they probably out there doing things they ain't got no business doing. So when I'm out there with individuals on my team, the first thing I say is, who went over there to go talk to individuals in the most uncomfortable areas that nobody wants to go to? I don't want to go to the nice looking areas in the hood. I don't want to go to the areas where, everybody's frequent. I want to go to the areas that nobody wants to go to. I want to talk to the people that nobody wants to talk to. Because I feel like if you're talking to these individuals, more than likely, once you get a chance to know who they are and they get a chance to hear you speak, they're gonna be able to determine if whether or not you're credible or you're a reliable individual, and if you're truly for their best interests or not. Right. And I think that we need to be more out there. We need to be more actively involved in trying to help them. Like, we gotta pass out flyers and stuff like that. But the reality is that some of them take them, but some of them probably take them and then throw them in the garbage. But we don't know the impact that we're gonna have in the lives of our youth if we're not trying to do something in our communities, just letting them run around, do whatever it is that they want to do. And next thing you know, somebody who you could have spoken to catches a body down the block, and now that body is gone. Now another body is gone because this individual has, two lives were lost in that process. The one whose life was taken, and for the most part, the one whose life now will be taken because they're going to go to prison. We gotta be more proactive in our communities, and we gotta come up with viable programs and solutions that will keep them occupied. Now, individuals might be able to tell you that yes, these individuals are so focused on getting to the bag. Well, if that's the case, then what are we doing? I'm unavailable right now. Please doing a program. We need to ask our youth, but we're not even out there to even know these individuals' names. We're not even out there to talk about the program.
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It was just a
Pardon me, man.
little interference coming in. It sounded like a thing.
Yeah, pardon me, man. I was having a little technical
Yeah, Tom gonna do
difficulty.
his thing, man. I don't want to watch a bunch of TV and all that, man.
Yeah, that's just Mel. So at the end, that's what Mel is all. This is Mel is gonna get the gutter. He's all in the hood. This is straight hood. So, but my point in saying that is that over the last 3 months in Brownsville, we've been able to not only get individual jobs, but we've been able to connect programs that can ultimately give them the skills that they need, that can either where they can become their own bosses or put them in the positions where they have jobs now. So that's the objective. We can't go to them with just words. We can't just go to them with talk. Say, listen, help you. What's the situation down there? You hear me? Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I had to change the network. What's the situation down there with you, KK, in Georgia? I mean,
Yeah, I can hear you.
I had to change the network. With the youth down there, they down there booked too?
In Georgia, I mean, yeah, I can hear you. I had to change the network.
I just sorry about that. I just like last night, like it was a bunch of shootings though, back to back, like Monday, Tuesday, the weekend. Crazy. 13-year-old kid got shot. Another team shot, and it was groups though. But last night though, was just seeing something beautiful though, man. You had something called the Midnight Basketball League, where you had so many, like the mayor, like community people from his office, right? Actually not wanting, but actually providing resources to individuals. Different businesses came out, things for guys to get some money, things for guys to get some money, job opportunities and everything. So what they did though is they had a bunch of basketball teams there, like guys from the hood, just playing each other. But they had it set up for a while, but it's showing that dudes is making some type of impact and effect because one of the guys who got a team, what he was actually saying is that even after they played ball, they got them going out in the community doing work. You know what I'm saying? So there are actual things being done. I just linked with a bunch of them last night because we're like you already know I'm working on the Breaking the Chain Summit for September 10th. So we're actually like recruiting and bringing people in as far as that concerned to just to bring awareness to gun violence, bring awareness to the mental health issues, to bring awareness to the black trauma that's affecting our community, to bring awareness to financial literacy, but not just the fact of bringing awareness, but giving resources. You know what I'm saying? Coming up with solutions. What can we actually do? You know what I'm saying? What can we actually do? How can we do it? And what I seen last night was guys was, they was giving out their stuff, but the people were receptive. Then guys was coming up, snatching stuff. Like you guys said, you don't know if they're gonna take them or not. But the thing is, being there to provide it to them in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Giving it to them in the first place. Having it available for them in the first place. I mean, whether or not they take it, whether or not they get the information and then utilize it, even if like it's all up to them at that point. But the thing is, we do our particular part, and that's providing the information and resources. Because out of 20 or 10, whatever, you don't know how many of them is actually going to take it and utilize
Yo,
it.
I love what Knowledge Reborn 2.0 said, man. He said, listen, be real. We can't keep lying to our youth either. My brother. I mean, we have to be all in for positivity or all the way negative. We can't have stuff if we are for the movement. And you're right, my brother. Knowledge Reborn, you're right that, because one thing they will see when you do come to them and there is that inconsistency, they will automatically see that you're not credible. That's why if you listen to many of our past episodes, we talked about a number of things. The first thing I said was being believable. The way that you are believable is that you have to be credible. All right. And being credible leads to being reliable. If you're believable, that means that you're telling the youth that you're going to be able to do something for them. So in my job, if I'm going to the youth and they say, "Who are you?" I can say to them, "Yeah, I'm the assistant director, I'm this, I'm that." But if that's all I'm saying to them, you don't want to hear that. But if one of their little brothers, their siblings, or their cousins, or their friends come to my program and they say, and they're told that our program can help them get a job, I'll become known, and the people around me will become known as the people in our program who help people get jobs. They're the one that help individuals get credentials. They're the ones that help individuals get into college programs and things like that. As that spreads, then that's what we'll be known as. We become believable. Our word becomes something. Then we become more credible. Then as we become more credible, we become more reliable. They can then depend on us now. But if all we're doing is coming with words, I can't just walk up to them and be like, "Why y'all standing on the street corner doing nothing?" But if I go to them now with the reputation I'm building in the community, I can go to them and say, "Hey, what's going on, you guys? Yo, you guys heard about the program over there at such and such building, right? Yeah, that's the program that I run. I'm part of that program." Some of them will say, "Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I did hear about that program, man. What's going on? How you doing?" "I'm all right, man. Just trying to help you guys get some jobs. Any of you guys looking for some work? What type of work y'all doing? I'm saying, what type of work are y'all interested in?" Some of them might all tell me, "Now we, bro, I'm all right. And that's when I bring my story into the mix. And I let them know, I'm like, "Listen, I don't want to be out here preaching to you. I'm not trying to be out here preaching to y'all. Because at one time in my life, I was the same individuals that was on these street corners saying, this is not what I want to do. I mean, this is what I want to do out here. But I let them know my story. I let them know I was that same person who didn't want to listen, and it resulted in me spending this amount of years in prison. When I let them know that, a lot of times they can't even believe that. They look at me, they be like, you did that much time in prison? I say, yeah. So I don't want to say I didn't befriend them in that moment, but they sort of look at me in a different light. They be like, wow, that's the OT or the OG right there that did time. He's in the program right now with the block helping us get jobs and stuff like that. So they do know that my hand is extended to them, that they can come up the block to get a job or get what they need if the need arises. So I think that helps in our communities, and we got to be more proactive because I don't see a lot of us doing that. There are people doing what they can. I just don't see a lot of individuals that are actually in the community doing what they should be doing when they know this is what we have to do to fight back.
Yo, bro, when you got these individuals that's calling themselves, there's a big difference between an OG and an old head. You know what I'm saying? The OG's gonna be out here, you know what I'm saying? They feet on the pavement like we doing. You know what I'm saying? If they first generation, dudes that's our age that didn't come to first generation, you already know that their intentions was on some other shit. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody that know first generation know, man, we are the vanguard. So if you about this gang shit for real, you know, one of the things that I always told everybody, man, learn about your gang. Learn what it is that you need to know about your gang. Learn everything you need to know so you could be, you know what I'm saying, the best you could be in that. When it comes to this damn mood thing, you know what I'm saying, we did this because we was the vanguard. So all those, whether they banging or not, and if they for the community, for the people, because remember, this is the backlash right here of the mass incarceration. You know what I'm saying? When we was out here, Moshe, last time, whatever, this was the murder capital. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of things going on. And this is just the backlash of everything because they took the black male out of the equation. We was either dead, we was in jail with the, you know what I'm saying? And they got the Rockefeller laws and, you know, all these things like that. It was a mass incarceration thing going. So it's a whole bunch of things that got us to where we at right now. But my thing is, I'm tired of hearing about slavery. I'm tired of hearing about a lot of shit we didn't experience that. So I'm not going to sit here and use that and say, well, this is the reason why I'm not doing X, Y, Z. I wasn't a slave. I wasn't that. So I can't relate to that in the aspect of me being my own worst, you know, me not being enthused or, you know, whatever. We know that the system is corrupt and everything like that. But right now,
Look,
this is the first time that we got all these cure violence sites, right? Where you got the mayor, all these people giving up all this bread. You know what I'm saying? More credible messages coming out from jail doing 20, 30, 40 years and is out here being active, bro. Like the job that we doing and everything, we not even living our life for ourselves. We committing it to a greater cause, to a greater purpose. And that's why we became a part of this shit anyway. And that's why we are a brotherhood and we honored that. And it's our values and everything that stayed intact that would kept us in respectable ways of each other, in respectable light of each other. You know what I'm saying? To carry on legacies and want us to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Those that was on some bullshit, whatever the case may be, them niggas that was on some bullshit kept their little circle tight and is in contact and is trying to figure out ways to do more bullshit. But we got to be just as vocal with the good shit as these motherfuckers is with the negative shit. The same way how the negative people showing how they getting bread and doing this and the other, we gonna have to show them how they can get bread and eat and look just like how them motherfuckers look too. You know what I'm saying? Doing the right thing. And that will entice them because we can't keep saying, yo, you gotta stop doing this, you gotta stop doing that. And we not providing them with no type of resources or nothing to fill that void. Because this right here kind of like remind me of Juneteenth. It's like, all right, y'all free, go do what y'all want to do. Oh shit, what it is we gonna do? Everybody always thought for us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like even with that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, you know, because you banging everything, you gotta fit a certain criteria, you gotta fit a certain persona, but in all due reality, if you knew what this shit really was about, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people would be standing with motherfuckers. But we already know some motherfuckers was just in it for protection and shit like that. Niggas wasn't never frontline dudes. So I accept everybody who what they is, even those that can't walk with us, but it's good at giving out a message or that can help us write resumes or that's gonna keep hollering at me and let me know every time a job or something is opening where I can post it and everything, then the job was you know, then he's playing his part. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just like the army ants. It be billions of the motherfuckers. They roll through the jungle. All of them have a specific job to fulfill in order to make that journey complete. We keep that mind frame and do it like that, man. We can't fail. But we just got to stop with this self-hate and everything. We can't be looking at ourselves the same way German shepherds and fucking pit bulls look at each other when they cross paths in the street. We not dogs. We do only gangster shit. That's the reason why we had the acronym of that.
Yeah, listen, y'all tune in to We Locked In. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my co-host, KK. Mikey B couldn't be here right now, but we got our brother Mel Cross here. The elder Nuke was supposed to be here, OG Nuke from Brooklyn, but he's on the road right now. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here because he's driving. But with that being the case, those that are tuned in, if this is your first time listening to We Locked In, please on your way in hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe.
I apologize, man. You know, I got Noxeme on my face. You know what I'm saying?
Sound like you're like an African warrior. You looking like an African.
I ain't got a shirt on. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, I'm looking like
preparing for battle.
Dingo warrior. I'm looking like Shaka or one of them.
We got it.
But I was working out. And I'm also preparing to get ready to go to work because I have to meet up today with the with the Bronx VA. You know what I'm saying? She, Miss Clark, you know what I'm saying, which is an African American sister. She's having an event over here by Vietnam houses and everything like that over there on Cortland by the courthouses and everything. And a new trend over here that's going on in the Bronx too is that people was trying to ambush their ops at the Bronx criminal courthouse. They ambushing their ops there. Like
that happens in Brooklyn too.
Yeah, they ambushing, like that's like, you know what I mean? Like they really ambushing dude. They sitting there laid up waiting for dudes to go to court or go to parole and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to get dressed for that. You know what I'm saying? I had to put my workout on hold. You know what I'm saying? The bro called me. So everything had to stop. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it later though. You know what I mean?
And first of all, I appreciate that. I called you early on to see how you was doing, check your temperature, man. I ain't speak to you in a couple of weeks, couple of months. And I said to you, man, yo, bro, would you be willing to go on? And look, my brother stopped everything he was doing. He had stuff he had to take care of. You dig what I'm saying? So, he stopped everything and said, I'm going to sacrifice my time for what I got to do so that I can basically talk to the people out there because he understands that this is important. I mean, we appreciate it. We locked in. We appreciate your time. Whatever you could have given us, man, we appreciate it. I know your work. We love you. Thank you.
Moshe, that was perfect how you said that, man, because when I look at our people, when I look at myself, when I look at y'all, I look at myself. We're a reflection of each other. You know what I'm saying? But when I deal with our people and everything, man, only thing I see is greatness. You know what I'm saying? I know and understand that, we've been desensitized. You know what I'm saying? We've been planted against each other with the Grimcho laws and everything. I already understand and know all that. But I'm never going to give. It's nothing that any one individual going to make me do to give up on billions of people of greatness, B. You know what I'm saying? We've been through hell and back, and motherfuckers couldn't destroy us and eliminate us off this fucking earth. So we still here for a reason, man. We just got to tap into our greatness even a little more. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying, and get to it, B. You know what I'm saying? I'm here. I'm on deck on whatever level. You know what I'm saying? Me. I go to Brown, but I don't give a fuck. I go wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always there anyway. I'm wherever. You know what I mean? And I'm here to support, to get to the peoples, man. It's a sad condition, man, and only our people's going through it. You know what I mean? But remember what we said back in the days, Mo and KK. We always said that once we win the war and we have nobody else to fight, we are going to turn on each other. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's always, I hate to say it, but an enemy sometimes serves his purpose and you know what I'm saying, unifying his opposition and everything like that, because then you could appreciate each other more. When we not going through nothing, everybody at their hyenas and everything, you know what I'm saying, we could take each other for granted, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop taking our people and shit for granted. You know what I'm saying?
I think that one of the greatest things that you said, man, was how responsible we are for a lot of. So one of the biggest things we can do is accept responsibility for our actions, not only as individuals, but in a collective sense. And we were a part of a culture, of a subculture in prison that found its way back out to society. And it was as if we gave birth inadvertently, indirectly to a mentality, a culture of individuals who had no understanding of what our belief systems were grounded on.
You know,
And we're responsible because we did not have the ability to think that far ahead to say our actions could contribute to the destruction of our communities. So none of us expected that after spending over, because all of us spent over 20 years in prison. None of us would expect that after spending over 20 years in prison, that we would come home and the very same communities that, we actually, we were a part of, that we would then see the byproduct of that. We had no understanding of that, right? So it made me think like, wow, this is important. But it made me also think, while we were sitting in prison, what were we going to do? What were some of the solutions that we would offer when we did come back out here? And I do love the fact that, we have been proactive and we haven't sat by and allowed just for situations to take place. And to your point, Mel, you are all over the city. You are in various regions of the city, and you're doing everything in your power to try to rectify many of these problems that we know exist. And for the record, if anybody knows individuals who are on this panel, you do know the body of work that we are involved in. It's not Walaikum salam, H Money Bags. My brother, man. How you doing, H?
Hey, what's up with H Money, man? Yo, salute, H. Love you, bro.
That's him right there, man. That's him right there.
Hey, yo, H, man, they hacked my my IG account, man. My new joint is Mel Cross 183 _ It ain't Mel _Cross _183 no more.
And I like the fact that life man up speaks. He said sound out solutions. So you probably missed that part, life man up. But we got to the point when we were speaking about some of the solutions that we would engage in. And Miss Nari in the chat, and
give me a moment. I'm at work. So hold on for a second.
Hi, my brother. And some individuals had already mentioned the importance of being on one hand being believable, because before you can actually implement programs, you have to have an identity, an individual identity, as well as whatever program you seek to offer. So I spoke about being believable, being credible, and being reliable. Once you're believable, once people in the community realize that you are believable, then your credibility rises, and then you be more reliable. People can depend on your services that you offer.
People come to you. They know that you're not dealing with the police. They know that they can have some type of trust in you, that they know that you're one of them. You know what I'm saying? You're not somebody that's just coming from Canada somewhere in their neighborhoods telling them, what it is best for them and what's not for them. You know what I'm saying? People that's not understanding their conditions or where they're from.
That's a great question. Hold on, before we get to that, Elena Nunez asked this question: what war did we win?
I knew somebody was going to say that. I got to be of that descent. The war that we won, the war that I'm speaking of, is that, before Damn Move grew and transcended the way it did, you know what I'm saying, we wasn't the power to be. Who was in control of everything was the Latin Kings and the Yetas. You know what I'm saying? They was in control pretty much of the prison system, at that time in the emphasis stages of the Damn Move thing. That's the war that we talking about, that I mentioned, rather.
I think to her point, I think what she's basically saying, and she might be asking a rhetorical question, whether or not did we really win a war, or did we really win a war? Now, Miss Nari, I agree with you as well, right? You have to start somewhere. There was a way of living. There was an ideology that was being propagated inside of the penitentiary. And it just so happened that our people felt the need to come together and to fight back against it. Were there different elements and factions within that ideology that was fighting against what they felt were injustices? Absolutely, right. There were individuals who had righteous intentions. There were individuals who had nefarious intentions. Were there individuals with bad habits? Absolutely. Were there individuals with no habits? Yes, there were various different type of individuals, right? So of course we know that. But I think what to Mel's point is that he's making reference to what was taking place behind the wall, which ultimately found its way back out to the street. So he's speaking about a physical interaction between groups of individuals and how our faction was able to kind of gain the upper hand after some years of fighting against the other factions. Now, after that battle was quote unquote won, so to speak, individuals started turning on themselves as opposed to looking outward to look for more other issues, oppressive conditions and societal issues that existed. There were a lot of issues. And I always told individuals that when I was a part of the subculture that, you know, you're speaking about fighting against oppression, but oppression exists in many forms, right? So we didn't attack economic oppression. We didn't attack political oppression. We didn't attack cultural oppression. We didn't attack psychological oppression, right? There was various forms and many faces of oppression that we didn't even take into consideration. But we just focused on the physical thing, and we was fighting, stabbing, cutting, and kicking people, right? And that was all right for a few years, but the reality was that it was short-lived, and it gave individuals the false impression that we actually did something that we really didn't do. And I think that probably did more harm to us as a people, because it kind of bolstered individuals, made people kind of feel like they was other people that they were not. And it gave this false impression that we actually did something that we didn't do. Shout out to Blow Dollars Network, please, man. Go to Blow Dollars Network. That's my brother right there, man. Smitty, what's good, my brother? Shout it out to you, man. Please, man, go to his channel, subscribe, check out his content. His content is definitely on point. And I think that inadvertently found its way back out to our communities. So if individuals were truly about overcoming their oppressive conditions on the inside, and if they were genuine about the culture itself, how could you stand idly by and allow our communities to be overrun by many of these groups who are byproducts of those ideologies that we all were a part of in the early to mid 90s and stuff like that? So it's definitely something that we are responsible for. Now, going back to what the brother asked in terms of solution base, we have to be realistic in terms of offering solutions. And when you're talking about solutions, there has to be many people in the room to have these discussions, because we're all literally, we are all interested parties within our communities. So one person's ideology is not insignificant versus 10 people over there whose ideologies or their philosophies may make sense. Everybody has. Amir Richardson, shout it out, my brother. Love you, bro. Good to see you, man. You already know what it is. So we all have ideologies, right? We all have beliefs. But when it comes to viable solutions, what is needed in our communities? One, we realize that there is a on one hand, a lot of resources, human resources in this case, that's not being acknowledged. Most of us don't realize how significant of a resource we are. So if you don't even have that understanding, that value system, right? You don't even have that knowledge of that. Therein lies another issue that we have to address. Many of our issues are, from the homes that we come from, right? So we have a lot of issues that we need to address. So how do we address the issues of dysfunctional homes, right? All right. This goes back to behaviors, right? We now realize that individuals are having sex while they are young, producing kids when they're young. Fathers are not there. Let's keep it real. We know in our community, not all fathers are just on deck like that. So it's a lot of behavioral stuff that's taking place that's contributing and compounding a lot of other stuff. So we can't talk about always trying to create solutions for stuff when we haven't even really addressed a lot of the problems that are here, or even identifying a lot of the problems that are here. Until we address our behaviors, we really can't come with any realistic solutions until behaviors have been addressed. But let's assume ideally that we've addressed the behavior part of the issues in our communities, that individuals are somehow we're on a page of a way of thinking of saying, you know what, let's get our priorities in order, whatever like that. Now we have a program. What comes next, right? Are we going to address the financial issues first? Because we are a community where we have exorbitant amount of resources. Unfortunately, our resources are being spent on any and everything, but are we going to address our financial issues first? Are we going to address our psychological issues first? Right? Are we going to address our political issues first? What issues do we think we need to address first? Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Y'all listening to We Locked In. I'm glad to have y'all on. I'm your host, Moshe Canty. I'm here with my co-host, KK, and I'm here with our special guest, Mel Cross. Unfortunately, Big Nuke, OG Nuke, was not able to join us. He's on the road right now trying to get to work. If you're coming in for the first time, please hit the like button, man. We know why you're pulling up to the channel and you have not hit that like button. It should also be notified if you have not subscribed to the channel that you're not a subscriber. And please share this with at least one person that you know. It could be a sibling, a relative, anybody, a friend, a neighbor, somebody who you think could gain benefit from that. Please. All right. Now, what I was saying, exactly what I was saying in terms of where do we need to start at? Some people believe, and I've had this discussion with individuals, think that we need to start with the psychological issues that we're dealing with as a people. Mental health has not been addressed as a whole. PTSD that we're dealing with. We're talking about individuals who have bipolar issues. We're talking about undiagnosed schizophrenia issues. We're talking about so many. We're talking about what's the word I'm looking for? Antisocial issues. We got so many different issues that we have not addressed yet. On a financial level, people will say, well, what we need to do is we need to pool our resources to come together. We have issues about being cynical, about the process of being cynical about where our money goes, right? We have trust issues, all right? How is it that we can put our money into the pot or tell each other we can put our money into a pot when we don't even trust each other? So these issues need to all be addressed. We can't try to somehow believe that because we have all these issues to deal with, that one issue or one point of view is going to supersede the rest. A lot of issues that we're dealing with. So that's what I want to point out. In terms of solutions, personally, right? I think that there needs to be a group of leaders within our community, a group of individuals within our communities, right? Like what we're doing right now, we need to create these spaces. It starts with us. It starts with us coming up with the ideas that we think are most needed. I personally believe that from a cultural, a psychological, and a financial perspective, those three things, we need to address those issues first and foremost. But again, I'm speaking from now as a Muslim, I can bring that into the equation. All right, because there's a lot of that I believe that we're lacking from, but individuals have their own belief systems.
Yeah.
All right? So that can create a whole nother dynamic of problems as well as to why it's even further division within the community. All right, so I don't want to kind of impose or inject what I believe are the solutions because I don't believe that will help further the narrative and help us get where we need to go. Perhaps it may offend individuals and cause more confusion and division within the community when that is not what my intentions are. But Jay Renee is basically saying that we need to break generational curses, and we know we have to break generational curses. So I totally agree with you on that, right? How do we go about doing it? How do we break the intergenerational curse? How do you do that?
Well, you say all the particular issues that need to be addressed, and one is definitely a mental one. And this is why we speak to the brother Jah as far as with trauma is concerned, to really address those particular traumas that has affected not only us individually, but as a people, period. Because like you're talking about those particular curses, those actual curses, or those generation curses, they like to call it, is actually trauma, is a communal trauma that gets passed on from each generation. So it's just like certain things that get embedded in us from childhood, from birth. It's like, Mikey was talking, I think it was yesterday I was on, he was going into talking about like memory, muscle memory with the brain and the body, and what's going into that. But then the synapses of the brain and how it remembers, or certain energy is actually stored in. So this DNA actually gets passed on to us, and we get caught in a certain type of way of living. So when you speak about one of the things that go overlooked as far as what we actually went through during the slave trade, that's like, oh, it was so old ago, but actually, just like how the Jews addressed their issue all the time, as far as dealing with the Holocaust and with their people because they know it affects. We have to do the same exact thing as far as with the slave trade is concerned, because it gets overlooked when you have. Hold on for a second. Let me just finish this. It gets like when the breaking of a slave, right? And he said in the breaking of a slave, when they went through that whole particular process, right? He said 400 years from the day of 1712, right? 400 years. No, this will continue for 3, actually, and it'll be a continued process. He said that was the minimum amount of years. So that was the minimum amount of years that they would continue to cycle themselves. Once it's already embedded inside of them, they're going to continue on doing it. So from that particular time, from 1712, and he said this process at minimum would be 300 years, right? It would continue. That would be 2012, right, at minimum. So you say from then on, what has actually been taking place, and you see the same type of slave mentalities, whatever, that's still going on. That's still embedded in our people. So those particular traumas, like in that time period, has to be looked at and addressed. And also, what characteristics came out of it? You know what I'm saying? The male stud, black guy that was taken away from her, the mother feeling like she has to protect her male child.
But how? We know those cases, right? But how does a people who are in those predicaments right there? Because we're talking about a point where the youth right now are engaged in violence. How do we get them out of that predicament that they're in? How do we help them address that right there when we know that?
So we have to hold. So I'm just saying we have to hold. We got to hold court. We have to hold court with our own. You know what I'm saying? Establish necessary programs in these neighborhoods, right? And start addressing these stuff that needs to be going because it's not being done. We already know when you start taking away the social programs and things that help the community, it creates a big ass vacuum and gap for the children not to do anything. So it's like now it's like children don't got nowhere to go. They're in their house either on computers or on their phones or they're in the streets, right? So now you have very few areas whereas this where there's active programming on a day-to-day basis that children can actually get involved in. You know what I'm saying? It actually helps them. Besides just, we got one center up there that don't really do nothing. Some old, outdated work, arts and craft and some basketball. You know what I'm saying? Instead of a whole host of things that needs to be addressed. And when you have that, when you have these particular spaces, though, it shows and it proves that things can actually happen and change. It shows that. And I look back, and I look at me, what I went through as a child. Like you had a couple of spaces. It's even less than when I was, but in my particular neighborhood. But when in my time, you had PAL, you had another class, another joint called Big Apple, and something else we used to go to. But there wasn't enough interaction there, though. It was just like almost like a hangout. But it still played a good role because it kept up off the street, and we was able to get certain extra little stuff done. But it helped to a certain extent. So now we see that a lot of those got distinguished and was gone. So it's not even really that anymore. But now I said, all right, we know that. So like these need to be put up. But now we need to put stuff in there that actually affects the day and time that we're in. You know what I'm saying? That actually affects the day and time that we're in.
I agree with you, but I do believe that we need to be we need to have aggressive leaders. Aggressive leaders take the initiative.
Yeah.
By first developing the programs, organic grassroots programs where we're pooling our resources together to come up with community-based programs that are centered around youth development, education, cultural awareness,
financial literacy,
financial empowerment. I think it needs to cover all of these areas. And we need to aggressively attack it as medicine, as for hospitals, and doctors aggressively attack cancer. I think we need to aggressively attack all of these community issues that are from our people. In order to be able to address the youth that are on the corners, we have to be able to go out there where they're at right now. And we have to bring our programs to them. And we have to start recruiting these individuals one by one. Listen, y'all tuned in and we locked in. I know we can have this conversation all
Yeah,
day
all
long.
day, what we gotta do. I'm at work. I'm at think. I want you to look at this too, Moshe. Tell me what you think about this though. So I'm doing the logo thing now for the joint. So hold on. Let's see it.
My brother always strategize. Let me look at it later. So I
Yo,
don't have
man, I'm
to.
gonna be at KK, man. I'm gonna be at ATL probably within the next couple of weeks, man. I'm gonna hit you up and shit.
All
Yo, man, make sure y'all hit that like button on y'all way out,
right.
man. Share this, man. Subscribe.
September 10th. You hear me?
Huh?
Working on an event for September 10th.
Okay.
Oh, it's called Breaking the Chain Summit, addressing all of these particular issues. So we just pulling all type of people in right now, getting it going.
Hey, yo, listen, my KK, I love y'all, man. I know we all got to go. Mel Cross, thank you for pulling up, man, and gracing us with your presence. We love you, my brother. Thank you for bringing your ideas to the table, man. When we locked in, called on you, you was right there, as always. We'll chop it up, man, about what we plan on doing this weekend, inshallah. Everybody that's lit that listen, that put your thoughts into the chat, we appreciate that as well. It furthers the conversation. It helps us try to come up with the solutions that we need to overcome the conditions that's in our communities. The only way we're going to be able to help and save our youth, if any of us are serious about going out there helping to address it, we can sit up on these platforms and we can put stuff into the chats all day. But if we're not going out there in the communities trying to save any lives, then none of it is going to basically change anything. With that, I'm your host, Moshe Kansi. I'm here with my brother, KK. On behalf of my brother, Mikey B, who couldn't be here. And again, thank you for Mel Cross for pulling up. We love you, my brother. Peace, y'all.
Always,
Peace. You already know, man. Slow.
Peace.